Every now and then when I'm working with one of my clients, I like to get some further information than what we can do in a consultation time. So I'll send home some what we call pH strips. pH stands for potential of hydrogen. We really don't need to explore it any more than that. We don't want to have a chemistry class here. But let's just say that we use the pH of the body to determine part of how your biological terrain is functioning or not. So we need a couple of things in order to make this happen, and this is something that needs to be done at home. So if I've never talked with you about pH and you might be curious as to what yours is, just initiate that discussion with me if I don't bring it up, and I'll go ahead and get you set up with what you need to monitor it. You need some pH strips and a pH color chart. And I have a couple of different kinds here. This is a really basic one that measures pH in increments of 0.5, which means 6.0, 6.5, 7.0, etc. This is really basic, and if you're in a situation where you really need to have your pH monitored more seriously, this is not the one you want. But this is easily accessible, and you can get your hands on this with little effort. So the kind that we prefer to use comes in a roll like this. This is the kind that we prefer to use that's measured in increments of 0.2, and that's going to give you a better indicator of the numbers you're actually trying to monitor. So in other words, you start at 6.0, 6.2, 6.4, 6.6, and so what you do is you just open this little thing up and you tear off a little piece of strip paper right out of the dispenser, just like a piece of tape. And there's two things that you do with pH paper. You always need two pieces, so just remember that, two pieces always. And when you're monitoring your pH, you're always monitoring your saliva and your urine. So when I have someone start to monitor their pH, I always like to have 4 readings to start with for a couple of weeks, just to see how the pattern of your pH is presenting. So I like to have you do it first thing in the morning, before you eat anything, drink anything. First morning urine is coming out of your body, and that should be the most acidic you are the whole day. Now when you look at the color chart, the acidic numbers are the ones that are down in the yellowish olive range. So that's what we're talking about when we say acidic. Alkaline ranges are up in the dark green and blue range. So when you take your pH first thing in the morning, it should be the most acid the whole day. So that's the first thing we want to determine. So the next time you're going to take your pH is about a half an hour before you plan to have lunch. And no drinking, no eating, no chewing gum, nothing in your mouth for 30 minutes before you take that second pH. And so what we're trying to figure out is what your body did with what you already had in the morning, everything you ate and drank. And then you want to have a half hour of nothing going in, and you take your second set of pHs. And then your third set of pHs is about 30 minutes before dinner. Again, nothing in your mouth, the 30 minutes before you take it, and then at bedtime. Now at bedtime is when your pH should be the most alkaline. So we just want to see first of all if you're in the pattern, if your body's in the pattern of pH. So that's just a basic what your body's showing us throughout the course of a day. Now you can't just do it in one day and expect it to show you everything you need to know. This is something you want to do for about 2 or 3 weeks. Every day if you can. If you can only do it a couple times a week, then that's fine. But we need a period of time in order to get a picture of your pattern of pH. Okay, so how do you take it? All right, so here's what you need. When you go in the bathroom first thing in the morning, be prepared the night before so you don't have to think at whatever time you get up. So let's say you get up at 5:30. So you head into the bathroom, and what you should have there is your pH strips, of course. And if you prefer to pee into a cup, one like this is fine. I also have the official pee cups that look like this that you would get in a doctor's office. So I have access to these if you prefer one of these. This is just you and the cup. Nobody else is going to see this, okay? Just you and the cup. All right. Or you can use no cup. You can just use the pH strip and dip it in the urine stream when you go to the bathroom. But whatever you do, whichever method you choose, when you finish putting that urine spot on that pH strip, you just want to take a little tissue and just knock off the excess urine. Let it settle in its color, hold it up to the color chart, and see what number corresponds to the color on your urine strip. Write it down, and then I would like to have you have a plastic spoon that you will spit in. And then you will take your saliva strip and you'll put it in there, and you'll, again, knock off the excess. You don't want dripping on your color chart. So take off the excess, and then when it's finished processing, hold it up to the color chart. And it's as simple as that. So you pee on the strip, you spit on the strip, 2 different strips please, and then you write down your results. And then you're done until about a half an hour before lunch. So that's a very basic way to just see what your biological terrain is revealing about certain things that pH measures, which we're going to go into later. The second observation we're going to make about your pH results is the saliva pH should always be more alkaline than your urine pH. So let's break that down a little bit. So let's say your saliva pH is 6.5 and your urine pH is 6.0. That's what I'm talking about. The lower the number, the more acidic it is. So it's good to have more acidic urine pH than saliva. If it's turned the other way around, where you have, let's say, a pH saliva of 6.5, but your urine pH is 7.0, that's not good. That's flipped. You don't want to have it that way. So that means we need to do something to get you turned back the other way around. So that's a basic way that I start using pH numbers with the biological terrain, and then I can help you interpret them further. But that's the part that is interesting for you to know. So it's like your own little science project, is to figure out what your innards, how they're working, and how that translates into body output so that you can monitor your health. I have a special guest I'd like to introduce you to today. This is my friend and colleague, Donna Mitchell, and she used to be a medical lab technologist before she broke into the world of natural health. So she has a lot of background in technical work. So what she's going to do is tell us a little bit more about pH and how she uses that with her clients.
When I have my clients monitor pHs, I'm looking to see the ratio. So to have a urine pH without a saliva pH doesn't mean as much to me, because I want to see what the body is doing, and you always need to have one pinned against the other to see what the body is trying to do. The body ebbs and flows like a tide. From 4 a.m. in the morning to 4 p.m. in the afternoon, our body is supposed to be catabolic. That means we're supposed to be doing all of our body functions. We're supposed to be getting up, going to work, running the factory. At 4 p.m. the whistle blows and the body starts going into rest and repair. So from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. our body moves into the anabolic stage, which is rest and repair. The pHs are a direct reflection of what's going on and making sure that you're moving into that rest and repair mode. So by doing the pHs, as Carol had said, different times of the day, it will actually tell us, are you in the catabolic mode in the morning? Are you in the anabolic mode at night before you go to bed? For those who have sleep problems, they will find that the saliva pH is supposed to slightly go down and the urine pH is supposed to slightly go up if your body is moving into the rest and repair anabolic stage. If that does not happen, that could be a reason why you're not able to sleep very well. So I actually use the two to find out whether or not the body is cycling in its 12 hours the way we're supposed to. And that will be a direct indication of what's going on with our general health.
Great. So Donna has a chart that she brought along with some basic guidelines for how to adjust your pH if you're finding that you're flipped, or if your pHs aren't going through that natural cycle that she just spoke about. So we're going to find out what those are right now.
Well, the two main ones that I use the most are vitamin C and vitamin B6. The saliva pH is not supposed to be below the urine pH number. Whatever those numbers are, the saliva should never be below what the number is for the urine. If the saliva pH is below the number that you reached when you took your samples of the urine, then you need vitamin B6. That's a direct indication of that. That's what we call the flip that you referred to. However, if the urine pH is high, meaning it's in the alkaline range, but it's not higher than the saliva, then you're going to use vitamin C, and you need to use the ascorbic acid form of vitamin C. Vitamin C can be ascorbic acid, or it can be an ascorbate. And an ascorbic is a synthetic C, and it will bring that saliva pH, the urine pH down very quickly. If you take either of these two substances, you wait 30 minutes, and then you retake that pH to see whether or not your adjustment has done what it needs to do.
Great. Are there any other tips about pH you want to pass on before we end the segment?
A couple of good points that you made about making sure that you haven't eaten or drinking anything, making sure that when you do take your values that you read them immediately. You don't want to, but the one from the saliva particularly, meat will off-gas. As soon as that saliva comes out of the mouth, the CO2 will off-gas, and it will change the value, quickly, in seconds. So yeah, you probably got a minute, but don't dilly-dally, don't spit in the spoon and then go off and do something else and say, oh, I'll come back. You really need to take the sample and read it immediately for the saliva pH. The urine is actually very forgiving. You could wait a little bit on that one. But both of them, I just remind my clients to blot off the excess before they put it next to the reading card so that you don't contaminate your card. Other than that, I think you pretty much covered the things that I thought of.
Okay. So one thing I just wanted to bring up is Donna and I have taken a biological terrain class together. And one thing that I always have remembered from that class, Donna, is the instruction to us that pH is the tail of the dog. So when you're taking your pH, you're taking what you're getting as the result of many body processes working together, and now you're getting the end result of what your body's done. So if the pH is not reading correctly and it's not in the right proportion, then we're going to have to probably work on something else in the inner biological terrain to make the tail of the dog wag correctly. Would you say that's correct?
That is correct. And just for a little snapshot is what does it mean to do the terrain? We also call it the flow system audit, where we're looking at 5 physiological principles, the last of which, as you said, the tail of the dog, is the alkaline acid environment. The first one has to do with your electrical system, which is electrolyte deficient or electrolyte excess. Most of you may know of that as high blood pressure or low blood pressure, but it has to do with the electrical system of the body and minerals, and how many minerals are available to run your electrical system. That's the most important one that goes out of balance first. The next one has to do with your autonomic nervous system, whether or not you're stuck in sympathetic or parasympathetic. Next we have to do with how well our body burns energy. We are a hybrid. We're supposed to burn both fat and sugar. And when we first have to exercise, the first thing we do is we burn glycogen. If you exercise for 20 minutes or more, your body says, oh, she's going to keep going. We need to convert some fat to energy. Some people can only burn sugar. And when that happens, they will have ketones that will show up in their urine. That's called ketosis. Those are the people who have low blood sugar. If you are only burning fat for energy and no sugar, those are the people who have hyperglycemia. And those are the ones that are diabetics, when their blood sugar is too high. So that is an indication that there's been a problem that's going on in that system. The body is not a hybrid anymore. It's only burning one or the other, and we should be efficient and burn both. And the last one is the anabolic catabolic, and then the fifth system is the alkaline acid.
Okay, wow, lots of information there to chew on, but good information, and that's what I'm talking about. Donna, in her practice, goes into pH a little bit more than I do. I still am learning in that area, so my good buddy here helps me out when I have a question that gets too technical. But one more thought just came to mind before we close this segment, and that is that I've looked up websites of pH balanced foods, because we both know how important food is in rebalancing the health of the body. So you can take all the supplements you want, but if you're eating not well, then you're sending confusing signals to the body. So I've looked up several websites that have to do with pH balanced foods, and you might want to do that just to get an idea of where you're eating in your diet, because it might be something that you're eating consistently, or a group of things that you're eating consistently that are pushing your pH numbers out of balance. So it's an interesting thing to me, especially in regard to something like lemon, because we think of lemon as an acidic fruit. However, when it's metabolized by the body, it helps your body to be more alkaline. So there are some tricky ones like that. So don't get confused when you look at the chart. Somebody's done the homework already and figured it all out. So just look at the chart and just enjoy what you see there, and evaluate your diet that way and see if there's any changes that you might need to make. For example, I'll just throw one out there. Let's say you drink a soda with 2 of your meals, or 2 sodas with your meals. You know, whatever you eat and drink at a restaurant. Okay, let's say you have soda with a meal. So soda, when it breaks down in the body, is very acidic. So also take a look at what you ate with that meal. Did you eat a hamburger? Did you eat fried French fries and anything else? That's all acid. So for that meal, you have taken your body on an acid dive, basically. And so if you don't have something later on to counterbalance that, like a nice green salad with, you know, some nice vegetables in there and some nicely cooked chicken, or something that's going to bring you back to I always want to say base, and that's not right, alkaline, there we go, that is, you're going to stay stuck in an acidic pattern. So do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yes, and the way that you have those vegetables, because a lot of people, they think, well, I had French fries, or I had some fried broccoli. You know, we're frying everything nowadays, and when you fry things, you take that good green alkaline producing vegetable, and now we've turned it acid. Because again, what you put in is a direct reflection of what's going to come out, which is why we want to monitor that. And that's when the alkaline water comes into play. Alkaline water is great for people who have the standard American diet, because they eat usually way too much meat, and they eat way too much fried food, and they don't get near enough of the green leafy vegetables that we need to thrive on. So again, what you put in your mouth is going to be coming out, and that's why monitoring pH will tell us a lot. And if you're coming to see either one of us, we're going to be asking you, what do you eat? Because if we start getting strange answers, we need to get to the bottom of where did this start, and we always have to start with the diet.
So just as a quick review, I'm going to use this card here because it's easy to see on camera. So just when you're monitoring your pH, the acid levels readings are going to be more down in the yellow area, or the lower numbers, like 6.0. And your more alkaline numbers are going to be up in like the 7.0, the more green, blue. So just, I know it's hard to remember that. It's something people ask me a lot of times, is which one's acid and which one's alkaline. So acid is yellowish, alkaline is bluish.